Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. So today we have quite a few things going on. Let's see here. We've got the SpaceX launch later on today in just a few hours. So I'm going to be kind of geeking out about SpaceX for a long time. So that's a thing. Also, let's see here. We're working on all of the little pieces that we still have to do for this. I was teaching a class on negative space a minute ago. So I was teaching a class. I'm teaching a couple of 13-year-olds. And that was kind of fun. So okay, let's get this all squared away. Okay. So the first thing is I want to fix this piece. And this piece here, we're working still on Fred's stuff. There we go. All right. Now, when I had shown this to Fred, he had specifically said that these, I want to say the loomer? I don't know. Anyway, the tree is not a tree. It's more like a ball of cotton, which is fine. I can go in here and fix this, but that's why this is still up here. So we're just going to go in here and repair this one right off the bat. Shouldn't take much time. I've changed brushes. Oh, that's fine. So we're just going to go in here and we're going to fix this so that he's not, or she's not a tree. Or rather, I guess she's supposed to be a cottonwood. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Brent. I'm doing good today. Just going ahead and repairing this piece. This piece is supposed to be one of the characters involved in this role-playing book. But good morning, David. Good to see you. The problem with this piece is that it is, there we go. We'll go through this here, do this, and do this, and do this. There we go. So the piece here, apparently looking at the original design of these characters, they're more like broccoli stems to me. They look more like broccoli. I'm going to go ahead and open up the book because he's got somewhere close to this on one of the pages nearby. Taking forever for my computer to think this one through. Oh, come on. Oh, no. We have crashed. Okay, let's try this again. I pay a lot of money for Adobe to crash a lot. Oh, well. Such is the way of life. Good morning, Matt. Good to see you as well. So, this is I'm trying to work on this piece that's going on right here. This is a line art piece for a role-playing game. Well, looks like Acrobat has crashed and died, and it will not restart. Okay, well, so I can't open. I know how to fix it. The way to fix Acrobat is to bring up Task Manager and kill whatever process is still running. But unfortunately, sadly, what that means is that it will also kill Restream. So I can't actually do that at this point. So we're just going to have to go by the seat of our pants here. And I love how this is the standard for artists, but I have spent more time explaining to clients about how I have to restart everything or redo everything. And I keep wondering, how is it that, I guess probably because the clients don't abandon Adobe, they abandon us. So that's probably why this isn't such a big deal to Adobe, be my guess. Okay. So this is more like broccoli, is the way I saw that picture. So I'm going to bring up that. Broccoli. Maybe cauliflower. I think it's more like cauliflower. There we go, cauliflower. Cauliflower is a remarkably horrible vegetable. I'm just saying. Okay, I brought up some reference of cauliflower here so that I can take a look at sort of the way it looks in the structure. We got kind of this poofy effect here. Yeah, celery is a pretty awful vegetable too. I gotta admit, celery is pretty nasty. Just makes it look like they've got a huge afro. It's like, well, okay. Which, hey, maybe they do. There we go. Okay, sorry. My son has come up with a theory that he can be absolutely quiet and watch his TV show behind me. And I said, I don't think so. And he's over there giggling. And I'm like, well, that's sort of the point. So, want him to... He really wants to do this, and I keep saying I don't want anybody in here when I'm broadcasting, but of course we've got very little choice on the matter about having him here or not at this moment, which is all right. I don't mind having him here. But he really wants to watch Voltron, which, hey, I can't knock him for watching Voltron. I like Voltron. But don't want him necessarily interrupting my drawing sessions either. Got work to do. Got to work together. All of us have to work together. There we go. So what I'm doing here is I'm just shadowing in all of this. There we go. I'm just giving this a lot of shadow. Naruto is good too. There we go. Okay, so we're just shadowing all of this in. There we go, like that. So there we go. We're just doing this. And all we're doing here is just giving some depth to this. Right? There we go. All right. There's always a plane that sounds like it's about to crash into us all the time here. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we are right on the flight path. And this house is right on the flight path for the Jeffco airport. And so planes are always making their final approach. And when they do, it always, they have to throttle down and things like that. I feel like I'm getting a lot of traffic that feels kind of like it's going to crash as they throttle down there. Okay, we'll just do this. Go across here like that. Make some florets there. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Much more like broccoli or cauliflower or whatever. Broccoli flour. There we go. There. Okay. Now that we've done that, we're just kind of, what we're doing is defining the shapes here so that these are, I mean, when you end up with something like this, it's hard to kind of get a direct bead on what's going on. And so I'm just trying to kind of get the shapes figured out there. There we go. All right. So what we've got going on now is we're just putting in all of these lines like that. There we go. Just like this. There. Now that we've done that, let's go back to the rest of this picture. There's not anything dramatic or black in this picture. There really should be, now that I've done that, right? Because, I mean, kind of want to... Yeah, I don't think this is going to work. I think he thinks it's going to work, but I don't think he realizes he makes noises. There we go. So what I'm doing now is just going through here and darkening out the picture, weighing in some shadows, things like that. A lot of traffic out today as far as air traffic goes. That's another aircraft just went overhead. Probably a good thing to hear. There we go. Okay. Just defining out some of these feathers for the same very reason that we were doing it before. Give some definition. Look at his like Starbucks coffee cup here. I kind of imagine that he's always just kind of going along here with Starbucks. Yeah, Starbucks. You know. So this guy's got like this beret. All right, go in there. there. So I'm kind of going under all of this area to give shadow and depth and roughing up this picture a little bit so that he's not obvious. That's what I want to do. I don't know why I said obvious. Clearly, so what I'm trying to do here is just make this like that. There we go, like more like that. Okay. There we go. There we go. So now we're looking at a loomer is no longer a tree. So, rough up this building a little. What I'm doing here is just, this is some old farmhouse. So we're not expecting miracles out of it, right? I don't want anything specific out of it. We should be fine. I'm just going to rough up the boards here. And this is just making it so that it looks worse than... I want this to look like an old rundown building. So we're damaging this really good. There we go. Excellent. Okay. Now, we're going on to this side over here. And I'm just going to go on ahead and just assume that this entire side of the building is going to be in shadow. And that'll help make this picture a little darker and have more detail in it. And I'm intentionally leaving open spots in here because I want to give the effect that on this side of the building, light might be coming through. Or there's highlights on the wood. Or something like that. That's going to make it a whole lot easier for me. There we go. Now I'm leaving a small amount of gap right here for the leg. And this is just so that we can see it. Right? Because at some point I want to go back in and strengthen this out. I still got like bits and pieces of this back here. And get around the horse's leg. There we go. There's two buildings here on this. There's this little side building over here. And then there's the farmhouse itself, like the barn, which is right over here. And then the barn, I feel like, will also be kind of dark on one side. Right? You're going to have kind of the same kind of critter going on here. I don't know why I cracked up this section. I don't know. I think I'm going to do that because that's weird. There's no cracks here. It doesn't make any sense. Here we go. This is wood, so it shouldn't be cracking. It should be paneling off. Be willing to, accept that, like a panel going inside like this, but not wood. You got a new job! Congratulations, Brent! Good job, man. That's awesome. That's a totally worthwhile reason to step away, my friend. Completely worthwhile reason to step away. I'm okay with that. I assume it is a better job. Or at least I would hope it's a better job. And I guess it's kind of not safe to assume that these days. But still, that's way cool. Okay. And what I'm doing here is just cleaning up this gap between the two. Gap between the horse's leg down here too. There we go. Okay. Now, looking at the building, this is a sunward facing. This is not sunward facing. That means this side of the house would be sunward facing, and this side won't be. So we got to do the same thing over here, right? Now, usually on the light side of a building, we don't have to do as much, right? You don't have to go all the way to the edge here because I want kind of a highlight out there. But this will give me a nice backdrop to work with these characters' faces. It'll highlight them very well. Right, like this guy here. We really want him to show up. So I'm going to do this. And all we're really doing here is just making it so that he shows up a lot better. And that's mostly the reason why I went for trying to have this much of it being black. Is black is dramatic. It's a super dramatic color, especially in a black and white drawing. I mean, there just seems to be something silly about what I'm saying here. However, doing that makes for an amazingly dramatic backdrop. We can now see the characters very well. They show up really well. It stands out, that kind of thing. So putting the black in helps a whole lot to make these characters really pop. Also is extraordinarily risky business. Because you could at any time actually damage the original artwork. Have to go back in and repair it. It suck. It always sucks. But we can do that and come through here. Come up. Around like this. There we go, like that. And do my son once again. Yeah, I don't think he's succeeding very well over there. So Brent, what's the what's the story on the new job? Are you going to be able to buy us all coffee now? Are the donuts and the coffee on you for our meeting this morning? So there we go. I'm going to just go around here. There we go. Cleaning up around this edge here. And just coming around down here. All I'm doing is just making sure that the line doesn't. Sweet. You're in charge of donuts. So there's a web hosting company here, huh? Yeah, some of us have websites. This is an important thing to note. I mean, I haven't been, upset with GoDaddy. They host my sites. And so it's, not like it's a horrible thing, but it's kind of nice to know that there's a web hosting company here, because someday they will make me mad. It's only a matter of time. Seems like that's the modus operandi of a lot of things, is that I think this is the way that goes. So, which works perfectly as long as you have power all the time at home. Which, what Brent's saying is that he has his own web server, which is awesome. I think that's the bestest. And I would have my own web server too, but really, honestly, it is it is for the land of the geeks now. And I used to be, well, I guess the land of the nerds. I used to be of that level and of that caliber in the 90s. I'm just not anymore. And I'm not really that interested in being that way anymore. I'm more interested in letting folks like Brent do that. That's, if you've got a love for it, then you should do it, you know? I used to have a love for computers and things like that, but now I'm more interested in doing this. Ah, yes. The old Alexa thing. That beep you heard was my Alexa. Targeting in on the fact that I am a Trekkie and have identified the trigger word for Alexa to be computer. So she's over there listening for that, which I find particularly funny because that one instance, that trigger word, so to speak, makes it hysterical to think of what must be happening on the Enterprise all the time. The only thing I can think of is that they have context reference. So though the main computer is listening all the time, it's got good context reference, probably, logically, if you think about it. Yeah, I know that Brent's saying he wished he could change the trigger word for his Chromecast. I think that was one of the big selling points for me and Amazon, I think, was that I could change the trigger word because it is an amazingly immersive effect, especially since day before yesterday. Was it yesterday? Day before yesterday. No. Yeah, it was day before yesterday. Day before yesterday, I got smart lights. Light bulbs that have wireless connectivity. And so I replaced all the light bulbs in my office with these smart lights. And now I can do all kinds of very Star Trekian things. Call red alert. I even taught it to respond to black alert now. And it's great. It's great. It's a great time to be a Trekkie. And none of that. We've got Strange New Worlds coming up. Season 3 of Discovery. I mean, some point in time here, we're going to have 3 Star Treks running at the same time. Be just incredible. That'll be so much fun. A great time to be a Trekkie. So I'm just adding some depth in here to this guy. Adding some shadow. Before this piece can roll out. And all I'm really after here is just giving some shape and design to this, because these guys are, you don't want them to be totally flat. There we go. We got an old farmhouse in the background. We got this Geller or Loomer or whatever he is here. There we go. So what I'm doing here is I've got a little bit of a highlight shine behind him. So, or behind her, I guess this is a female tree. Apparently, that's part of the reason why we are constantly having problems with pollen, is because they're breeding only male trees out there. There we go. So, you can fill in your own theories to that. Okay, we're going to put a shadow behind her so that she has weight and she's on the ground. That's what we're doing right here. Now she feels like she's actually standing there. Right. And we will come over here and do the same things with the hand. There we go. There's a dog barking outside. I wonder where that dog is. I wonder if that's the same dog that's been whimpering all night long. Okay, so I'm just adding some shape and weight to these lines. And what it's doing is it's making this seem like it's got a lot of depth. Like that. There we go. Now, in general, I try very hard not to be sketchy. Sketchy just makes everything messy and hard to see. And you can see that because I've sketched in that building behind us, and that's making everything really hard to see. But I want the building to look rough so that's, it's a necessary hazard. But what I am going to do is be very specific about the characters. Deliberate. And then that'll actually offset this, and it won't look so bad. But I have to be extremely deliberate, because this will contrast. People always talk about contrast in the instance of color. But the truth is, there's a lot of contrast in inking styles too. Right? We've got this rough area behind here. And so what I want to do is contrast inking style so the rough hewn wood is not interfering with the artwork, the characters. So, no sketchiness in here. We can't afford it. And that helps make that stand out. all of this has to be very clean and clear. All of the lines have to be confident and sure. There we go. There. Making everything smooth makes this all work very well. There we go, up there. Around here. There we go, just like this. Excellent. Come back around like that. And just make sure that that works there. Excellent. There. Okay, so what we've got going on here is I feel like there's some sketchiness in the bird. So we're going to zoom in on the bird. Just right here. If I want him to be feathery, because I've chosen to contrast back here, I can't use these styles interchangeably. Really? Okay. So, that's better. His wings are still a little flaky. And I know that we came in here earlier and did this, but I realized how much I was contrasting on this, or not contrasting, failing to contrast. All right, so we'll do this. All right. Because, of course, naturally, feathers are rounded. All right, there we go. And then that's got contrast. Okay. Move it over here. So I kind of want a tree, an old elm tree or something like that. One that hasn't amazingly been blown down by some tornado in this Kansas-like environment. We're just going to, I dare I say, add a happy little tree. Okay. Happy little tree goes on the other side of here. There we go. Excellent. Okay. There we go. That's just because I had a white area right over here that I really wanted to offset. I kind of want to do the same thing over here too. And some kind of tree back here. It just kind of wanders off like this. There we go. Much, much better. These trees kind of wander out from behind the building like that. And that clears some of that white area. I'm going to have to do something with this white area up here. But the truth is that I might be able to give some room for graphics and graphic design up there. And that might be very useful. Because like here we can put, section 1 right here or whatever. And that would be fine. He hasn't been doing that, so I might just put something else up here. I mean, if I were just to put birds like that, we have a bunch of birds kind of going this way, and all's good. Okay. We're an hour in. And I think we've gotten this guy to some spot that makes me happy. I feel like we should probably do a few more things to him. Like, our dude sitting here looks like he's not wearing any pants. So let's fix that so that he's wearing pants. Since he's close to the ground, we're going to see a reflection of the ground, or at least the light from the ground. I'll give some folds to his pants. That'll help us see that he's wearing pants. So he's sort of an unnatural fold. There we go. There. Do the same over here. Nah, he doesn't need pants. Who needs pants? Now, the other reason that we want to do this is because otherwise this becomes sort of... the other reason we do this highlight underneath here is to separate these two. Right? Because otherwise we're going to have... you can't tell where the legs are, how the legs separate. Right? There. Exactly. Nobody needs pants. This way, you can see where his legs are and how they differentiate. People won't be able to read the picture if I don't do something like that. One last thing I want to do is over here, make our tree branchier. There we go. And now we really have a feel that we're going for. All right. So I'm just adding some weight so that you can tell that he is on the ground here. The same with Pigeon Boy over here with the cigar. I think his thought process really is, hey, what difference is going to make now? There we go. Much better. I feel like that's... the only thing is I am having a problem with that right hand over here. Which means I want to do... There we go. So all I'm doing here is just making this hand stand out. All right. There we go, like that. Now his hand stands out. I can see it. Okay, I'm feeling like this piece is getting close to done. At least close enough that I'm okay with it. I trim that off to indicate the piece is done, and then save. All right. Still feel like I could do something more with the sky, but you know what? I can revisit it later. in the meantime, it's a complete piece, which is important because there are a lot of pieces that need to be completed. And these big full-page portrait things are really rough. So let's do the other really big full-page portrait thing. We might as well get them both out today while I can. Okay. Big piece. Lots of people going around here. Lots of things happening. Lots of stuff going on. So, this piece needs a lot more random color. Well, it needs more darkening, for one. I mean, clearly you can't see half the stuff that's going on in this piece. So I know I need things to be darkened out. And what I'm probably going to do is just hit the fill button in there. Wow, really? Tolerance is way too low. That's not until 3 or 2. See, now I'm pushing buttons. Doesn't mean I won't be. I will be. Just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. Okay, whatever. Okay, so we're just going to connect this dot and that dot and this dot right here. Because this guy needs to be like that. We're going to actually go the other direction with this. Shadow and do this. Yep, me too. Well, not yet, but I can't seem to run NASA TV and see all of my text stuff. And they were saying 4, so unless that's changed, which they may have. Let's see what NASA TV says. That sounds fair. I'm going to... Yeah, 4:33 is liftoff. 4:33 Eastern Time, and that puts it at 2:33 our time. That doesn't mean I'm not going to, Here, let's go on ahead and crank up the old stream over here, huh? Oh, I've seen her before. I'm familiar with her face. I've seen her a couple of times on the YouTube channel. I don't remember her name, but she knows what she's talking about, so that's good enough for me. And I'll go ahead and go over to YouTube to see what's going on here. All righty. Turn the volume down on her. Okay. So I'm just going to let her go ahead and chat. And I'm going to get back to work. So now she's up in the corner. Put her here. Put her right here. Right here. There we go. Adjust the size, YouTube. Figure it out. This way I can still control everything. And, oh, you know what? Once again, we're not on the snowball. Boy, I would have a ton of questions for Bob and Doug if I were in the room with them. Just saying. Not saying, but I'm saying. All right, back to work. Slave. So, kind of going around here like this. I'm going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to use the shadow line on this to indicate more of what's going on in this particular critter. This critter is yes. Well, and I am actually horribly, that's rain. It looks like a squall, though. I presume if their spacesuit is anything like all previous spacesuits, then they have the ability to go to the bathroom in the spacesuit. Wow. Look at how much they've changed on this. So many things have changed since the days of Apollo. Would you go to the bathroom in the spacesuit? Yes. I mean, that's... yeah, although it's kind of interesting looking at this particular rig, right? They've changed the scaffolding. They've changed the way that they've done... I mean, even their rather amazingly... I don't know what you'd want to call it, but the amazing... I almost want to call it a jetway. I mean, because it is. It's almost like a jetway from an airport. It's so fascinating. I love also that NASA naturally has Model X's. Or not, that they're NASA Model X's for SpaceX. That cracks me up. I'm entertained greatly by this. Right? Okay. So back over here on our drawing. Not wanting to be totally distracted by a launch system going on in the background. But let's be realistic. Yeah, the suits are completely different. They're not as bulky. However, when we talk about Bellatrix Rising, and we talk a little bit about the concepts, the theories that I have been kind of putting forth, one of the theories that I've got is that all of their uniforms are space tight. And that comes from the fact that I have seen an immense amount of change and alteration between the spacesuits. You know, the spacesuits are a completely different critter now than they were before. I wonder if they're ever going to make a Tesla van. But I mean, I guess that instead of the big silver van, SpaceX now takes the astronauts over from in Model X's. That's kind of cool. I'm kind of glad you told me to crank up the old boob tube here, because now I'm able to make some commentary about this. I should be, I used to back in the old days. I can't make it pop out. I was trying to get it to pop out. I like the mini player, but yeah, I do wonder if they auto drive. Wouldn't it be fun? Here we go. Put this over here. Wonder how many I can make this. No more mini than that. Okay. The reason I say that is because I can, can I bring it over here? It won't stay. That's a shame, but it won't. There's a driver. Yeah, those helmets are wild too. I mean, I'm looking at the helmets here, and but I got to admit, the Model X is uniquely designed for this. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of effort for them to get in there. That's kind of cool. So their O2 lines are there? Is that where their O2 lines snap in? That's kind of cool. That's the family saying goodbye. That's kind of cool. So when we get 7 of them, because I know that the Crew Dragon can run up to 7 people. When we get 7 of them on there, they're just going to have like a number of these Model X's, and just everybody loads into their own Model X. Those are Teslas. I got a 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds. It's a shame to see them creep. Just saying. Oh my God. There's Humvee behind it. An armored Humvee. That's concern. Actually, I don't question having 2 astronauts on the first launch. I don't question that at all. This is effectively Young and Crippen. It's like Young and Crippen's STS-1 flight, which absolutely makes sense to me. Just 2 people. But when you have, I guess my next thought was, they've got 5 people in that front Tesla and 2 extra people in this back Tesla in with the crew members. So the question I've got is, do we have, are they just going to put 2 to a Tesla and then just run, 4 Teslas out there? I guess they would. A little train. It doesn't really matter. I mean, Wonder what EXT versus INT means. I guess, I mean, external versus internal, but I wonder what that means necessarily. Oh, yeah. Get to work, guy. Get to work. I'm going to move this off the screen, though, so I can put it back over here. All right. Going back in here. All we're doing is just the same thing we did just before. We're going to darken this out. I also noticed that they didn't buckle in the astronauts. So no accidents, guys. I mean, that's not like that's uncommon. There were no seatbelts in the silver van either. But it's almost... Yeah, I don't have the sound on, so I can't hear. Obviously, I don't want the sound to disrupt my show, so I don't have the sound going. So I can't hear what they're saying. I'm assuming those guys all look like launch crew, or construction crew, probably launch crew, likely. So, I mean, that's just what it looks like they were saying was, they were folks who worked on or built the spacecraft. So I am of the opinion that they are probably those folks, which would make some sense. All right. They're making their way to the pad. There's an actual legit intersection there, huh? That's funny. Can you imagine being those guys just like driving along and then all of a sudden behind you is that entire mess? That's funny. Now, those guys all look like they got blinky lights too. That truck right there. He's like, I drove over them. It was cool. Okay, moving right along through here. There we go. Yeah, now see, that's what I expect out of a Tesla. Moving. Right? I mean, I think it's kind of interesting because, of course, the Russians have been using rail for their rockets for 70 years. I find it fascinating when we specifically had that huge crawler and SpaceX is like, yeah, rail. I'm like, yeah, well, to be fair. Alright, same thing as before. I don't want to lose this piece of the artwork, so I'm going to make sure that we have that there and this here. There we go. Now, this piece that I'm working on right now is designed to be designed to show that, you know, that they're conducting experiments on them or something like that. There you go. So this guy and his girlfriend got captured by these guys, and they are taking his blood, and they're doing some kind of psychic scan on her. There we go. Color this in. There we go. Ah. Okay. Yeah. Blah. Blah, 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 blah. Kablam. That'll protect most of this from being screwed up in one way or another. Really? Clearly not enough because of that leak right there. There we go. And what I'm trying to do is get the floor to be black so that gives some serious drama to the floor. Right? There we go. Man. All right. Yeah. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to go back over these with white. With more weight than that, I think, is probably fair. So there's a 3-mile limit to all things for launch vehicles at the NASA complexes, which is one of the reasons why they're tootling along over here for forever and ever and ever and ever and a day. The limit is sort of imposed as an arbitrary, if everything blows up, then you want to make sure that bystanders aren't killed, right? So over here in, but I think actually it's 3 miles down the main track from the VAB to the launch pad, but it's like 6 or 7 miles, maybe even longer than that. Since it's interesting. Oh, we're talking about pad 36A or 39A. They're going to be showing all the things that have been launched from 39A. It is a very lovely, lovely spot. I've been to pad 39A. All right, moving right along. I'll be doing something like this. There we go. So all I'm doing here is just laying in this. The mattress is black, or at least somewhat black. Oops, wrong brush. All right, moving right through here. All we're doing here is just laying this in so that it makes logical sense. And he's on this now. Dramatically black mattress, which makes him stand out quite a bit. Yeah, wrong brush is better than the wrong layer. I wish it would do a little bling. You're on the wrong layer. You know, that'd be nice. Just saying, Adobe. Just saying. Not saying, but I'm saying. Because that would be easy to program. Anybody could do it. I mean, their eyes closed. I could do it with my eyes closed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Adobe's like, well, go on ahead then. Be our guest. You know. Oh my God, I'm just, I don't want to take the fun away from you, Adobe. That's it. That's why I don't want to ruin your fun. Yeah, that's the ticket. All right. Okay. Got to be careful. I'm going to go off the edge of the table here, so I don't want to go off the edge of the table. So I'm going to make sure that no matter which way we do this, we have an edge up here that is easily defined so that I can see, the differentiation between the edge of this mattress and the floor. Huh. So that little like bridges that go over the tracks. It's kind of cool. Huh. So see, somebody's got their little red Jeep there. I'm like looking at that. I'm like, well, I'll bet you that's actually probably like a fire control vehicle or something like that. But still, it's funny in my head. I'm like, right? It's not just that. It's like, here we are on the pad. And that's my thought too. It's probably a fire vehicle. And it's probably not a Jeep. It's probably a Humvee. NASA likes to repurpose military vehicles all the time. Makes logical sense. There's nothing wrong with that. And even though this is all SpaceX's domain, this is still NASA stomping rounds through here. So there's that. Okay. Yeah, see, like, it's like a bizarre little concourse. It's like a jetway. We aren't going to finish this piece today. We'll finish this one tomorrow. This week, we're going to work on character design. But I have to also kind of I'm trying to work on my office in here. And so I'm ending up with things being torn up and dismantled over here on the other side. So my office is getting slowly dismantled as I put in these new bookshelves to the right of me. They're getting there. Yep. Okay. So looking at this, I think one of the other things we want to do is, we're going to go through back here like this. I like the super dramatic black. It helps screw up the picture a lot. What's going on? Why are they getting back in? Are we scrubbing? What's the story here? Are they just moving them to another location so that they can get up the ramp? You know, if you can rebuild the entire system from scratch, and I know there's a certain amount of limit to ISS bound. Ha 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 ha. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Yeah, but like I said, if you could do anything on the redesign, why would you make them have to make a stop down the way? Yeah. It's like, wait. We got to stop and give a thumbs up to the camera. That's funny. All right. Dramatic pause, I guess. It's like, why would you do that? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't make them stop on the other side of the tower and then come back over to the elevator. Man, look at what they've done to that launch gantry, though. I mean, it's all black now. Woo! It's so exciting. Okay. There we go. And I apologize for all of you who are here to watch me draw. I'm getting completely sidetracked by this, but I feel justified. We're not going to have anything. Yeah, okay, so I guess you're right, because like looking at that Jeep, it was just a normal Joe Blow Jeep. But let's talk about this. There's a reason why we have, right, it's your fault, Brent. There's a reason that we have a 3-mile limit, right? And I wish no ill of anybody here, but honestly, that's a lot of liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen all just sitting there with a big igniter aimed at it, you know? So, you know, you put your car there. I mean, all I can see is like, well, Joe, I hate to tell you this, but your car was blown up. It's like, I'm sorry. It really is. That's what we're talking about here. Is it's a controlled bomb. Okay. So there's a few things that I am noticing. How do you explain that? Yeah, I mean, we have to be realistic. This is theoretically an extraordinarily bad thing that can happen. Yeah, they would have to be moving those vehicles from the. I mean, they must be moving them right now. So SpaceX bought this building, painted it all black, and then NASA made them put a worm on it? I find that fascinating. Remarkably intriguing. I see a red gantry and I wanna paint it black. I mean, honestly, the gantry was red once. The model for this would be a lot easier to do right now. SpaceX gantry is a lot easier to draw. Big black square. Says somebody who actually tried to draw the other gantry. Okay. What we're doing here is increasing the drama of this artwork piece. Kind of wish I could hear what they were saying. The show must go on. All right. So we've got the shadow of his arm on the table. It's so spacious. It's like so ridiculously spacious. It's so huge. I think they're moving to 10 grand for a flight. I think that's what that's the target. I find it intriguing their choice of clean room personnel. So one of the problems visually has always been that you can't tell the astronauts from the clean room folks. So you'll notice that all the clean room folks now are in black. So you can't miss the astronauts. I'm like, I find that an intriguing... this is what happens when you actually have graphic designers and things like that on your staff who think these things through. This all makes total sense. It's the other reason why I think they painted everything black. Because the very stunningly white spacesuits totally stand out. Yay, they're signing the wall. Oh, the photographer got in there late. Right? Already graffitiing up the place. Look at that. Graffitiing it up. Man, you people. All right. To be fair, I probably could have finished 2 of these if I had been more on the ball in this hour. However, they're loading them up on the launch gantry. The astronauts are getting into the spaceship. And that's pretty cool. I mean, heck, even my stepmom was asking me what time it was today. And she was out there going, hey, this is something we're going to watch. And they're going to watch it with their kids, which is cool. They're students. We've been reading Hidden Figures for the last few weeks as a crew. And in Hidden Figures, unlike the movie, Hidden Figures is more about the story of Mercury and how the characters played a part in the space race, and less a story about specifically Glenn's launch, which is what the movie sort of went on ahead and did. So, wow. So the clean room here is, the white room is so much different on this than it was elsewhere. Now, the other thing is, think about the contaminants. They've got rain on them. Yeah, I think somebody's going to have to come up with a better battle plan for transferring them. They need a garage for all the Model X's to park in. So I just realized that even the American flags are subdued on those uniforms. Yep, make sure you have... Look at the room in there! Oh my god! Those guys can stand up and buckle these guys in. What an amazing little capsule they've built. Man, that's fun. Okay. Yeah, now would be a bad time to find out that the couches don't feel comfortable. Wouldn't that be a terrible time to discover that? Man, they can stand up straight in there almost. Holy cow. That is amazing. An amazing amount of room in there. Huh. And this is a completely reusable capsule. And pretty much everything but the little booster second stage is absolutely reusable on this vessel. I am noticing an interesting flaw, though, on this one. You notice that they can't put their heads back without closing the visors. And that's an interesting glitch, because they're not on oxygen yet. So they can't close those visors out. They're not on ship oxygen. So they're not on the spacecraft's life support yet. One of the things I am going to build into my... Well, you will have the visor closed. But not until you have O2 flow. Usually during a shuttle launch, they don't close and lock the visors and start the O2 flow until about T-minus 10 minutes to launch. And that's because, obviously, 10 extra minutes of oxygen is not a big deal for the system, but 2.5 hours of oxygen is. So the shuttle had no. I was drawing. You ripped off the name tag? Those are fascinating gloves. Look at that. Huh. Oh, yeah. It'll be a flight thing. He'll bring it back as part of the... That is not an uncommon thing for people to do. They can take a small amount of personal effects, but it's not unknown or uncommon for flight teams or for astronauts to take trinkets up with them of their flight crew and stuff like that. I mean, this is a historic mission, so what'll happen is they will end up with this flight crew, and they'll want to memorialize the fact that they were on that. And you can't say more than, you can't say more about how you were part of that than just to have your name tag. You know what I mean? Your name tag comes back from space. Somewhere along the line during this flight, he's going to hold up that name tag to the camera, and we'll all see it, and then that'll be proof that that name tag flew in space. And then the dude over here is going to be like, yeah, my name tag. But that's not an uncommon occurrence. Oh, hey, look at that camera. That's going to be interesting. Those gloves, though. The gloves fascinate me. Yeah, they'll lock back. I think they lock back another couple of degrees. But they need to be locked into position first. I can see that one because they are not actually backs to the launch, or their backs are not perpendicular to the launch area. And that's the thing, is like their backs need to be flat to the ground, so to speak. And they aren't right there. But I think that's part of the crew is locking them into position and arming all of the various devices. Can't believe that SpaceX is doing this, though. This is so amazing. Okay, guys, we are almost out of time. today I'm going to finish up these last little bits right here. Come around the corner here. Yeah, maybe. Entirely plausible. Switch back to camera. Camera mode. Okay. Well, guys, I'm going to go watch SpaceX launch a rocket because that seems like a thing. So I will talk to you all tomorrow, and we'll continue this piece, and then I'll start working on Mayrel. I'm going to get Mayrel's pre-drawings up tonight so that we don't have to render them up or anything like that. And we'll use the maquettes for the drawing, the character design, so I can kind of just get a rough idea of what we're doing. And we will talk tomorrow. And thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope you're all watching the launch. You should watch the launch. It's a launch. And it's such a cool launch. And that's in 2 hours, guys. 2.5 hours. These guys have to sit in this chair for 2.5 hours. But they got lots to do over the next 2 hours. So it's not going to be a problem. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.